Hi, my name is Riivo Talviste. I'm from Cybernetica, like Danny, and I know that my initial topic was supposed to be how to keep your device safe. Then I thought that I can maybe change it just a little bit, and actually since we can't cover everything that you have to do to keep yourself safe in the cyber world, then I just picked a really small topic that I can somewhat cover. So I know that we were already given an introduction, but I'm a PhD student in University of Tartu, studying computer science. I'm also a junior researcher in Cybernetica, working in this ShareMain project that Dan told you about. And this means that I'm interested in crypto, security, and privacy, both during in my studies and at work. And I also give few information security related courses in University of Tartu. One of them is basically a practical information security course for non-IT students. It's titled Information Security, but the main point is how to survive in modern cyber world. And this password management is a small part of this course actually. So if you come to University of Tartu, then you can take that course in full. Okay, let's get to the point. You probably know what the passwords are used for, right? So everybody uses some passwords, I assume. So just so we are on the same starting point, passwords are used to authenticate a user to a service. And in this context, I mainly talk about the web service, some kind of web portal, Facebook, Google, whatever. But you can think of anything where you use password. For example, logging into your operating system, or even home alarm system, whatever. And password is some secret that is supposed to be known only to you, the user, and the service. So basically, you can then send your password together with your username to the service. The service checks that this password corresponds to this username and lets you in. So it's simple. But since we are talking about security, then I guess we can go straight to the main point and talk about how your passwords are stolen or leaked. So, do you have any ideas? Yes.
Keyloggers, phishing.
Yes.
Brute force.
Brute force. All are really relevant. Yes. Some others.
Man in the middle.
Man in the middle. Yeah. So basically, eavesdropping your communication. Yes. Something else. Yeah. So I've also put a few here. So brute force, yeah, good. Just try to log into your Facebook account and okay, that works. Might take a long time, but it works. Then there is this stealing a database from a service provider. So if the user database at Facebook is stolen, then it's quite bad, actually. Or, well, Facebook is probably well secured, but from some smaller service providers, web portals, it's everyday business. Then, yeah, this man in the middle intercepting your login process, because you saw on the last slide that you actually have to send your password to your service provider to this web page. So if somebody is in between listening on this communication, then they get to know your password. It's as simple as that. There are ways to protect against that, of course, but but this is not specific of this talk. And of course malware, for example keylogger in your computer. So keylogger is a type of malware that basically just saves all your basically saves everything you type on your keyboard and most probably sends it to the attacker. Okay, so like I said, stealing passwords is a everyday business for a lot of people. So some facts. Last year, according to Splash data, more than 3.3 million passwords were leaked or stolen, and this is from the web pages. So somebody hacked into the database of some web pages and just copied their user database with the passwords for themselves. And I don't know if we can say that luckily, but we also have a local example from last year. Have you heard of this same.the case? It actually was pretty big in Estonia in a sense that it actually made it to the main media. Usually this doesn't happen, but anyway, there is a web shop called same.the where you can buy seeds and pot plants on the web, and a hacker group called Cypher hacked into the database and basically stole more than 13,000 passwords from their service and published these passwords on their webpage. So there are things you can do to protect yourself from each one of these kinds of attacks. We are actually concentrating on the two first ones today because these are the ones where actually a good strong password really helps you. I guess in the first case it is clear how a good really long password helps you, because if your password is long enough and an attacker uses brute force attack to just like try all the combinations, then there are so many combinations that it just takes a lot of time. It's as simple as that. But how does a good password help you against stealing the database from your service provider? Well, actually most decent service providers do not store your password in an open way, in a plain text, like you saw in this password file that I just showed you. Service providers are supposed to keep your password actually, I can't say in an encrypted way, it's more like a function or a derivative called hash of your password. This is actually a one-way function. I won't get into the details of that at the moment, but this basically means that even if the whole password database, the user database, is stolen from the service provider, then the attacker still has to basically guess the password, in a sense that he or she must come up with a password, and then he can really quickly tell if this password is in this dataset or not, much more quickly than using an online attack where you just try to log into Facebook with all of the passwords that you can come up with. Basically, yeah, so good passwords help against these two attacks. So good password actually wouldn't have helped you in this same case, because they were really stupid. They stored the user passwords in plaintext form, so the attackers actually didn't have to do any work besides breaking into their server. They just downloaded the file and the passwords were there. What does a good password or strong password look like? Like Dan said, this is probably something that you have heard of. And if you think that the people telling you this are just telling you this because it's nice, then you should actually really listen. So let's go over it again. So the good password should contain letters or characters or symbols with from different categories. And by categories I mean like letters for both small letters and capital letters, numbers, and it would be really great to include some symbols from like the set of special symbols, like asterisk, underscore, exclamation mark, and so on. In Estonia, we are quite lucky actually, because our some of our local symbols are actually considered special symbols in most of the attack scenarios. So you can write Õunapuu and it already contains one special symbol. Not that you should use Õunapuu as your password, but it's better than Apple tree, I guess. That's just like Latin letters. Yeah, but you have to be careful with these local symbols, because if you have English keyboard or something, then you might be in trouble if you have to log in somewhere not your that is not your own computer. To help you with deciding if your password is good or not, there are many services. So let's have a look at one. It's the resolution is really good. So this is 8 letters, all small case. So it says that it's broken instantly because I just took the letters that are like in the same row on the keyboard. So we should do something smarter and use more random letters here. But still, one desktop PC. This is important here. One desktop PC. For one desktop PC, it takes less than a minute to break this. So let's add 2 more symbols, all small case Latin letters, 9 hours. Not bad. Okay. Let's put it back to 8 characters and add some capital letters. So now it goes from 52 seconds to 3 hours. Cool. And somewhere we should actually add some special symbol. So array. That's good. 8 times more. What else? Oh, numbers. A number. Good. So is this enough?
No.
Why?
A desktop PC.
Yeah, a desktop PC. You can just rent 1,000 computers from Amazon Cloud and poof, divided by 1,000. Not good. So we should actually. This is good. You can see that the background color changes actually. So this is this is good. So you shouldn't be satisfied with your password unless this page tells you less than a couple of 1,000 years, and it doesn't turn green either. Strong passwords are long and random and different for every service. So probably who uses one of Google services here, like has Google account? Okay, so you have a Google account. So Facebook account, anyone? Yeah. Facebook account, Microsoft or Skype? Yes. Twitter? Yes. And let's take some local thing also. So these are actually not really secure by this web page that I just showed you. Special price for the one who can memorize all of this please, and tell me later on. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So you get a special prize if you can tell me those after my presentation. So if you memorize those. And we come to actually the main point of this presentation is that nowadays you really have to, since you have to use strong passwords that are long and they have to be unique for every service, then there is no way you can remember those or memorize those if you do not have special powers. I mean, you might have, but I don't. So I actually use password management tools. The simplest thing that you can use is password management provided by your web browser. Most of the web browsers today ask you if you want to remember passwords. I know that Internet Explorer does, Chrome does, Firefox does, Safari does. Probably all of the others do this also. But there are some things that you have to remember if you use this. For one thing, you have to use a really strong master password. So this password is used to basically encrypt your password database in your browser. And I know that some of the browsers, or actually all of the browsers, they allow you to just save passwords without actually using master password, but this is really stupid thing to do, because if you leave your computer unattended for just a minute, then for example, Facebook, I have my password saved here because, well, it fills in this password and username automatically. So if you leave your computer unattended, then it doesn't actually take me much time to see what your password is. It takes about 10 seconds or less for me to look it up in the Firefox or Chrome. And I don't believe that all of you use screen locks and passwords on all of your devices. So if you use password management provided by your web browsers, then please use master password. And this must be the strongest password you have, basically. So this is something that you have to memorize, so this actually can't be this can't be the strongest password you have, but this has to be strong enough. But it is one password that you have to memorize. Even if the browser asks you this password every time, and you kind of think that it defeats the purpose of the whole password management thing, then it's still one secure password that you have to memorize. So it really helps. It means that you can use really strong passwords for all of your services that you do not have to memorize. This is not my real password, if you were wondering. So you're welcome to try that out, but it won't. If you use really strong passwords that you haven't memorized, then it's also important to keep a backup of this password database that you have now with your browser. So you either have to back it up manually, most browsers allow this, or some of the browsers actually allow you to synchronize it basically with the cloud. So in Google Chrome, you can tie this with your Google account. Like you can actually log into the browser itself and tie everything, your bookmarks and passwords and everything with your Google account. And Firefox actually basically allows the same thing. It's important to know that in this case, only your encrypted database is stored in Google servers or in Mozilla servers. So they won't get to know your passwords. It's just for backup and syncing between your different devices. So strong master password and backup. These are important things. Yeah. Who uses web browser password management, by the way? Yay. And do you use master password? Please start doing that now. Okay, so but there are other options. If you do not like web browser password management, like I don't like it, then there are other options. There is also special software, and the main advantage of some kind of special software is that you can store more information than just website username and password. So it's not tied actually to a web browser. You can store your email password if you use a special like a separate email client, or even your like home alarm code or whatever information, and a lot of meta information. And also special software usually includes a good password generator. So since you now know that password generator good passwords are something that you can't memorize and they should be really random, then actually in addition to being really hard for humans to memorize, good passwords are actually really hard also for humans to generate, because humans cannot generate random stuff. We are too structured for that, or well, our brain. So a couple of options for you here. A separate desktop application called KeePass for Windows, or its derivative KeePass X for MacOS X and Linux. You have to take care of backup and synchronization if you want to use this software. So it's a standalone in that case. Have you heard of the thing called two-factor authentication?
Yes.
Who uses two-factor authentication? Good, really, really good. And if you leave here, then I urge everybody to start using that, because it's free and it's so much better than just passwords. Basically, two-factor authentication, it's a second line of defense. So everything that I told you about passwords and password management still holds, but it's a really simple thing that can make your life a lot more secure. So it's not an excuse to use bad passwords or weak passwords, but still. So the point is that you have your regular password, you log into the service, and if your password is correct, then instead of letting you in right away, the service provider sends you a generated random small usually six number verification code with SMS or some special app. It depends on the service, but usually it's SMS for backwards compatibility to your phone, and then you have to basically take your phone and input this six number code to your browser, and then this is like the second phase of authentication, and the service lets you in. So the point here is that the authentication now has two factors, so two like really separate things. So it's something that you know, your regular password, and something that you have is your phone, or to be exact, your phone number or SIM card. If some Chinese tries to break into your Google account, then they actually might guess your password. It happens. But since they do not have access to your phone number or phone, then you get just a code, and you know now that somebody somewhere is trying to access your account. But yeah, you don't enter this code, and they can't get in. Yeah, so you might think that that makes your life terribly difficult, but it actually doesn't. You just register your phone, and for your own personal computer, you just say that I trust this computer, and you do this second phase, this SMS verification phase, only once. And after that you log in regularly. But if you go to if you use a friend's computer or some public computer, then you of course have to enter your password and this verification code. But it is a lot more secure. So here's just a list of some of the service providers that offer this in Estonia. Apple also has two-factor authentication, but unfortunately not enabled in Estonia. Hopefully they will do it soon. And probably there are others that you can use in Estonia, but for sure for Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, please do this. Yes, the service provider gets to know your phone number, but Google knows everything, and Facebook too, so it's not a big deal. And with that, I think I'm done. Thank you.